Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. We're talking about taking risks. So, I'm just got a couple things I want to talk to you guys about as far as risks I took in my life and all that jazz. So, one of the biggest risks when I thought about this topic that came up for me was the risk of moving to LA and chasing my dream of becoming a director. So, in 2003, within 2 weeks' notice, I had been let go of my job, decided to move to LA to chase the screenwriting and directing bug. I had screenwriting directing bug, and I was like, when I grow up, I will be a Hollywood director. I will direct movies. That's my end game. So I will get there. So I started off in that path in '03. I moved out to LA and I did what I had to do. And what I had to do was sell men's pants at Nordstrom. I started working at Nordstrom, and then that risk had helped me in a couple ways. One of the main things it did was make me meet Justin Gerace, who is DJ Justin, one of my favorite people on earth. My I had met a roommate on Craigslist. She decided to move back to Singapore, and Justin was looking for a roommate. I had just met Justin, and he said, "Do you want to move in with me?" Took a risk. Sure. I moved in with him, and one of the best friendships I have in my life to this day. Love that guy. So that risk worked out. I don't direct movies, but I took a risk, a big risk when I came back. I came back to New York in '05, started working for Giggle, the baby company. Tenderloins, doing live show. Long story short, we get a pilot for a TV show called Impractical Jokers. Then I had to take 2 weeks off from my cushy corporate job and shoot the pilot. Then when they picked up the series, I would need 6 months off. So I went into the CEO's office, Allie Wynn, mentor of mine, love her, great businesswoman, phenomenal lady. Had such a great connection with her, and I'm thankful very much for everything she's did for me. And I told her, Allie, I just need 6 months off. And she was like, "So you're quitting?" I was like, "No, no, I just need 6 months off." And she's like, "No, you're quitting. I can't give you 6 months off." She's like, "So the door's always open. If you want to come back, feel free to come back." So I had to leave my job and jump in full time um, at Send Practical Joker. And I was the first one to quit my job completely. It wasn't until the half season two, the second half of two, where everybody had quit. Sal was still being a bartender, Q was still being a fireman, and Mar was still doing his TV production thing. I had no safety net. I jumped in full force. And I think that's why it made me so involved in the production. And I've learned so much more about production and show running and able to do that skill set because it was everything I had to do. So the risk of quitting my job and jump in clearly paid off. I'm here talking to you good people. I have a very great career and I'm very fortunate with my career path. So that risk paid off. Um, Another risk, I took a coworker on a date. That was my wife, Bessie. And I dated her long distance for a while. And then I took a risk and I asked her to move to New York. And now we know the story. She's my Mrs. Gaddam and got a lovely family with her. And that risk paid off. So those are some risks that have taken off. I've also had some risks in life just because I'm a gambler. So I've had some fun risks that panned out in casinos. I've had some risks that haven't panned out as well, but I'm definitely a risk taker as far as it goes in life. And I think you need the confidence to take chances. You have to just get out of your comfort zone sometimes. You really have to push yourself. So my advice to everybody watching is maybe the next time a risk presents itself, try it. And hopefully it pans out for you. And if it doesn't, you won't have the regret of not trying something. And I hope, well, so I kind of regret the risk of the beard. I don't know what's going on. It's like 4 days old. I don't know what's happening, but I can shave it. Who knows? So that's some of the risk stuff I want to have. Um, I think I always took a lot of risks even before Bessie with relationships. I I maybe not as much as I should have. And I think when I took the real risk with Bessie, that's why it paid off because I think I was feel like I jumped in for real. So I think that risk helped. All right, so let's get into your questions. Your questions just submitted on my Instagram and Twitter at Joe_Gatto. Feel free to follow there. So at some, I gotta take a look at this. At Samara Hollingsby, why should we take risks in our life? Because it'd be so boring if you don't. Think about it. I think about part of the excitement of life is the possibility of failure. Because without the risk of failure, when you champion a win, it makes it so sweet. So I think you need the sweetness of victory. And if there's no risk of loss, you don't get that sweetness. So I'm a big fan of getting out there and trying some things and taking some risks because they can pay off in a bigger way. Now, this doesn't mean go willy-nilly and just submit a DM and be like, Joe, you ruined my whole life. Calculate it. Start small, you know. I'm not saying quit your job and start to become a professional, you know, burlesque dancer in Toronto. I don't know if that's a good thing move for you. I don't know you, Samara. Maybe it is. Maybe it's not. I don't know. Uh, Calculate them. Start small. You know, just try to find. I think you could adapt yourself, and you as you progress by taking little risks, you start getting more comfortable taking risks, and the bigger risks don't scare you as much. So I think it's baby steps for sure. Take a few risks here and there. When they pay off, it's really sweet. Okay. The Mary Shades Ray, the Mary Shades of Ray on Instagram. What kind of risk would you tell newbies to take and avoid? I would say in the beginning, like I just said, try calculator risks that are smaller. For instance, change your hairstyle. If you're not feeling yourself, change your hairstyle. Try a shirt that's not in your closet when you're going shopping. Try, you know, something with your image that's small and undoable, right? Hair grows back, you dye it, you can change it. Grow a mustache if you want, sir or madam, whatever you want to do. Like if you want to take that bigger risk, go ahead, go get it. I think that's a nice small risk. Another risk that's small is if you want to be with a friend. I'm not talking love. I'm not talking relationship style, but if you want to make a new friend, take the risk of asking somebody to hang out. Not in a romantic way or whatever you want to expand your circle. Take a risk. Try that. I mean that's panned out for me a lot. I threw a dinner party with strangers a lot in Los Angeles or even in New York, and people I just met wanted to get to know, and I've developed plenty of relationships that way. That seems like a small risk. That's not that big. I would try that. Things I would avoid. Don't get on Mark's van. That's too big a risk. Don't try any designer or high-end drugs. That's a risk. Burglary. Don't do that. That's a risk. I would say start small with your risks and they build. And next thing you know, your life is getting better and better. Without change, your life can't change. Remember that. Just get out there and do something. Good question. Thank you. The next question at Moahan5. In your experience, has the saying, the greater the risk, the bigger reward, been true for you? Yeah, for sure. I mean, I left my whole livelihood. I quit to become an impractical joker. I left my six-figure corporate job to take a risk on a reality hidden camera comedy show with my friends. And when the success rate of shows, especially of guys that are not really made for TV, I think that was a big risk, and I feel like that paid off. Also, the risk of asking Bessie to move here. We were dating long distance for a year and a half. I'd probably seen her 15 to 20 times, and then I asked her to move to New York for me. That was a pretty big risk, um, and I kind of got married on a whim. I didn't. I bought the ring. I felt that we were on vacation. I bought the ring while she was in the spa, and I proposed on the spot. So that was a pretty big risk, and that worked out. Got a beautiful family. So, okay. All right. So the next one is by Ace Jones 63 on Instagram. In the face of fear, how you handle taking major risks. Breathe and assess. Okay, so I think it's important to really think about an idea and think about what you will regret more. Every decision is going to end up in a regret. Okay. And here's what I mean. You may regret taking the risk. If it doesn't pan out, you may regret taking the risk if you don't like the outcome. You'll always think about the other shoe. So, what you really need to do is just feel the moment, take an educated uh, approach to the risk and be like, okay, I've thought it out. Here's what feels best. Let's do it. Don't flounder. Take a risk and go with it. I've found in my life personally, going for it and following your gut and committing to taking the risk or committing to the decision to not take the risk always plays out better. So I hope that answered your question. Um, okay. Oh, I would also say, use your consigliaries. And by that, you should have a trusted group of friends. I'm talking two or three people, maybe four, that could be five, I don't know, six. I don't know you and your story, but people that you consider your consigliere, tier one, you value their opinion, talk it out. It helps, but at the end, it's your decision to make. I've made decisions that have really paid off where everyone was telling me the other way not to do it, but I've gotten to the space where I was confident in my decision by talking it out. So that's another great tip, I think. Uh, at Crafter Kim, how do you personally decide when something is worth taking a risk for is worth taking a risk for and when it's too dangerous of a jump? Great question. I just touched on talking to people. I think that's a big part of it, but I really do. I don't take a long time making decisions. I really don't. I try not to waste time. My life has been, I've seen too much happen too fast where doors have closed, lives end early. So much could happen in the blink of an eye that I try not to think, I act. Um, that being said, I just think faster. I think it's the right to say that. I really just break it down, take a moment, focus on it, and just go with it. But I think it's important to take that moment, focus on the decision, weigh it to the best of your ability, speak to a couple of people to talk to them about it, and then act. Okay, so I hope that answered. That's probably how I do that. Uh, at Trek Geek Bill. Do you find yourself less willing to accept risk now that you're a father? Absolutely. 100%. 80%. 80%. I'll say I will say no a little bit more often than I normally think I would have, but for sure I that is a major component of my thought process now. I'm a father, I have a family, I have people to provide for, I got to take care of stuff. I have to set an example. But I do want my children to take risks, and I do want my children to be brave. It's part of our motto: "Be brave, be kind, be gatto." So I think that's important to show them that hey, sometimes it's okay if you fall. Um, when they get older, I'll probably be able to teach them a little bit more. Right now, they don't understand that. They're barely potty trained. uh, are there any risks that you look at and regret? Asked Corey Wilson Fit. I'm sure there's a couple. I That's a good question. It's got me thinking about what risks. Probably a couple of the heart in the beginning. I think where if I was too scared to take a risk and jump in fully into a couple of relationships, they probably could have been better relationships. Um, also, the I probably should have quit my job and chased the dream a little bit earlier. I might have had a better time in LA and figured that out. But I mean, it's hard to say from this part because I'm so happy with the way everything's panned out. But if I'm being honest with myself, that's probably something I could have done. Um, I could have. Those are like probably the main ones. The main ones are that popped out. Maybe I probably could have tried to have kids earlier. maybe. Not that I'm too old now, but I might have been nice to have a little bit more. So there's that. Um, at Clark Tallman asks, I'm pretty sure my friend likes me, but I don't know for sure. And if I don't know if it's too soon or not, I've never felt this way about somebody though. Clark, I mean, the name of the topic is take risks. I mean, you got to take that risk, right? Um, Calculate though, drop it out there. I mean, don't go buy a ring and drop to a knee. Just be like, hey, how you feeling about this? And see what happens. Worst that she says is no. For me, the worst thing that could happen is that you're silent, you suffer in silence. So it's always a hard thing. You got to read the room a little bit too, though. If she's clearly putting out the friend zone vibes, and or he are they giving out friend zone vibes? Be careful there. But as long as you approach it in a way that you're okay with a no, then it's fine. You have to be okay to get shot down, though. You can't let it crush you. So you want to maintain that relationship as a friendship. If it doesn't work out, fine. There you go. At Molly Goss asks, is a risk the same as facing a fear? No, two different things. You aren't necessarily afraid to take a risk, right? Sometimes the risk might be exciting or enticing. Fear is never that, really. So for me, they're two separate things. Something you're afraid to do, the answer isn't to take a risk. The answer is to conquer your fear or figure out why you're afraid of that thing, disassemble it, and attack. For the risk part, it really is cost benefit. What's the best thing can happen? What's the worst thing can happen? Which road am I going to go down? Okay. At Julie444, what is something you would risk your life to get? Lunch with Will Smith. Lunch with Will Smith. That's what I risk my life for. Could be dinner even not a coffee. It's got to be at least a couple course meal. It's my life we're talking about. Okay, people. So let's not be dum dums. Okay. Also, a frozen Reese's peanut butter cup. If I'm going to be honest, one of my favorite treats. A box of tag along cookies or a dozen cannolis that are freshly stuffed. These things. That'd be something I risk my life for. Oh, my family. I should probably put that first. My family. My family. Wait, rewind. Let's start again. Edit that part out. Oh, it's live. Edit that out. Okay, so my family, of course. Also, lunch, dinner, or any multi-course meal with Will Smith or frozen Reese's peanut butter cup. Okay, moving over to the questions on Twitter. at um, at H Hannah Banana 98. Have you ever put your life at risk for doing the challenges or punishments on the show? I don't know if you saw when I was Captain Fat Belly and I was 250 stories on top of a bridge. So I would consider that. Yes, that was a little, what they say, dangerous. Also, I flipped upside down on the genie thing when you weren't supposed to be able to. There was it was apparatus failure. I didn't die, but that rug caught me right in the neck. Any advice to a person who wants to take risks, but their anxiety gets in the way? At Tony Gunk 145. Yeah, I'm not really an anxiety person. I don't really struggle with anxiety, but I will say I do have a lot of people in my life that do. So I'm able to recognize it and I watch how they deal with it. I would say the one thing I would recommend is to disassemble what's in front of you. Look at it by piece and try to figure out what the part is as your source of anxiety and then dispel that part and try to separate that from the risk. What I mean by that. So let's say you're anxious, the risk is to take a new job, to quit your job. You're unhappy. Oh, but what happens with this and that? What's the outlier? What's more? The safety of a paycheck or being miserable getting a paycheck? If you're okay with that, then that's where you should stay. But if you think this is the way to go for that. That being said, there's the answer isn't for some people to quit a job they're unhappy with. Some people might stay in that job for a while until they feel a little bit more stability or find a reason or something that makes them go, or they're able to turn it around. So it might not be the answer right away, but I think you just really need to disassemble and take a look at each piece of the risk. There you go. Would you ever quit a secure job to follow your dreams? Asked Sue Buckner. Yes, I quit my secure job to become a practical joker. When did something start out badly for you, but in the end turns out great? A ad Hafty Holder asks. Hmm. When did something start bad for me, but turned out great? Hmm. I th- Let me see. That's a good question. I don't know. Nothing's jumping right to the top of my mind. I would say college. I would say college. Yeah. Oh, no, I would actually even go back further and go high school. High school, I started out really geeky, quiet, stayed to myself, introvert, until I found the skill set to make people laugh, watch how much I enjoyed it, used it against anti-bullying. I think that was for sure a way. Yeah, because, yeah, definitely high school. High school didn't start out great for me, but it ended fantastically. And so glad I stuck through it and went with it because now the direct result of that high school struggle is the rewards I am reaping on the other end of it right now. Okay. And that is all the questions we had there. Thank you so much for talking about taking risks. I appreciate you guys. Thank you. And you're the best.